And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking Franco Colapinto. Yes, in the news, as you may know, if you check your Twitters and your Facebook and your Instagrams, it's seemingly Franco Colapinto mania at the moment, because every other post in Formula 1 seems to be he's confirmed for the Grand Prix at Imola. That's not necessarily the case, at least at the time of this video going out and me talking to you. No, there has been nothing official from Alpine, just sources saying it's going to happen. Now, whether that's a deluge of Colapinto fans or actual facts, I've absolutely no idea. But we need to ask ourselves, is it a good idea that they replace Jack Doohan for Colapinto in Imola? Has Jack Doohan indeed raced his last race in Miami? And if so, very unfair, because no goodbye, etc. It kind of like would feel like very Daniel Ricciardo-esque. And how good is Franco Colapinto? Does he live up to the hype? Now, as I mentioned, this is Sky reporting Alpine considering, not necessarily a fact, they are considering a Colapinto-Doohan swap ahead of the Imola Grand Prix. Okay, fingers crossed there. So, is it going to happen? I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, even Chris Medland, though, on Jack Doohan's future. I kind of sit where Chris Medland sits. Before we get into the ins and outs, he said, I hope we get to see Jack at Imola. No disrespect to Colapinto, he's undoubtedly talented. But in a race like today, and he's talking about the Miami Grand Prix so early in the season, Jack didn't get the chance to prove himself, in spite of the fact that he did out-qualify Pierre Gasly. He said that opening lap incident looked more like Liam Lawson pinched him too tightly on the inside. Yes, it did. And there really was nowhere for Jack to go. The contact was light, yet it ended his race before it ever got going. To judge him on that alone would be harsh, he said. Still, the sport is incredibly cutthroat, as we've seen it with situations like Lawson and Tsunoda. If Alpine chooses to make a change, they'll have their reasons. But I genuinely hope Jack gets a fair shot over the next full race weekend, and I completely agree. I mean, let's not forget that, Colapinto gets it wrong as well. This is obviously, that was at Singapore, and this was after his really good set of results. So what happened is he came in, he got a really good set of results. He looked very favourable against Alexander Albon, which we will be checking, which we'll be showing. Here's another one of his crashes. To be fair, this one's in the wet in Brazil. Even Ollie Bearman, who, had a bit of experience as well, ended up not doing particularly good. Although, you could make an argument, Bearman, this was his first race in the wet as well. But yeah, but if I remember, both him and Albon, to be fair, were costing the Williams team millions. Now, let's then go ahead and look at the stats. This is Formula 2. Franco Colapinto was briefly in Formula 2. And it's got here that he enjoyed plenty. It talks about his history, plenty of success in karting, including a victory at the Youth Summer Olympics in 2018. But he soon made the move to single-seat racing, taking part in the F1 Championship, which he won. So legit. He continued his rise to the ranks in 2020, finishing both third in the Toyota Racing Series and the Formula Renault. Third, not bad, but he didn't win. 2021 proved to be a busy year for Colapinto, though. He ventured, it says, into sports cars, taking part in both the Asian and European Le Mans series. Colapinto then made the move to FIA Formula 3 in 2022 with Vans Amserfort Racing. He placed 9th before moving up to 4th in his sophomore campaign with MP Motorsport. He is set to continue with the Dutch outfit in Formula 2 in 2024, which he obviously didn't, because he then ended up becoming he was a Williams Academy driver, but driving for the Williams team. And these are his, F4 Championship. He was the champion in 2019 for the F4 Championship, Castrol Toyota Racing Series, 3rd, Formula Renault, 3rd in 2020. Let me zoom in on that now, I've got it. You might be able to see it a tiny bit better. Castrol Racing Series 3rd, and then we've got all these. 2021, well, bloody hell, it was busy. Formula Regional European Champion by Alpine, that's 6th. 3rd for the Asian Le Mans Series, 4th, 7th. So, I mean, solid, if not absolutely amazingly standing out stats. For the FIA Formula 2 Championship, 2 races, 25th, so we can't really talk about that. The FIA Formula 3, he was 4th, but his first Formula 3 one, he was 9th. Now, let's forward on to the Formula 2 for Jack Doohan. And I imagine, let's see what the stats are. So, as you know, struggled during his rookie year, kind of like Colapinto of F3, failing to take any points. That was embarrassing, but rejuvenated by a switch to Trident. Won 4 times and notched 7 podiums in a breakthrough year as Dennis Hogg's strongest championship challenger, so he didn't win, ending the year as vice champion. The son of 5-time MotoGP world champion Mick Doohan, if you didn't know, he's going to be will be the Australian's first year in F2, having taken part in the final 2 rounds of 2021, where he achieved the top 5 finish. So in 2023, he was the Alpine reserve driver. In Formula 3, finished 6th in the championship. In 2021, Formula 2 Championship, 6 races, he sadly just finished 19th. It wasn't particularly good. FA Formula 3 Championship, 2nd with the Red Bull Junior Team driver, not bad at all. 26 no points in 2020. You could make an argument it was his last name. F3 Asian Championship, he finished 2nd. 11th F3 Asian Championship, he finished 2nd in 2019. F4 British Championship, powered by Ford. I would have seen him that year, of course. He finished 5th. Italian F4 Championship, he finished 20th. So I'm not being funny. Both of them are very like for like. None of them exactly setting the world alight, are they? This is obviously the F3 thing, which we've kind of already seen. So neither of them, in particular, I think, are setting the world alight when it comes to their stats in F2 and F3. Solid, but not great. At least that's what at least that's what we think here. So let's then have a look at the stats of Franco Colapinto versus Alexander Albon. They did a few races with each other, head-to-head performances. The link is obviously in the description below. Probably need to undo that one a bit. Okay, so 2024. I mean, Franco Colapinto 5 finished 19th. Alexander Albon a bit higher. Obviously, that's going to happen. GP positions head-to-head. All results 4 and 4. That's interesting. So points 5. Alexander Albon got 12 points. Total Grand Prix 9 and 23. So yeah, it's going to be points per Grand Prix 0.56. Franco Colapinto got more than Alex Albon. Albon at 0.52. Best position 7th. Franco Colapinto got 8th. So when you look at it, Colapinto is not particularly. It's not that bad at all. I mean, this is obviously, I think, in their lifetime. Head-to-head results for seasons in which Colapinto and Alex Albon have completed. Yeah, and as we know, they didn't, 9 Grand Prix for Colapinto, but still an average 0.4 better than Alex Albon, which I think for Williams, bear in mind they were coming into the latter half of the year, is most certainly saying something. Now, I don't think he's better than Alex Albon. I think Alex Albon had a couple of torrid races. There may be a tiny bit of bad luck, but there's nothing to smart at. Now, the only negative, the only significantly negative thing I can say about Mr. Colapinto is come the end of last year, when the pressure was on, people were talking about him in the Red Bull seat, potentially taking over Sergio Perez's, or in the V-carb seat. And when that pressure was on, that's when he started to make silly mistakes. That's when he started to put his car in the wall. We can't excuse that. He's absolutely a rookie. One could argue that an absolute world-class driver may not have necessarily have done that when you look at your Alonsos, your Hamiltons, your Verstappens. But, who knows? Who knows? And this is why I think Alpine want him so badly. Is there rumours reveal how much Alpine had to pay Williams for Franco Colapinto, albeit this is a rumour. They said Alpine have already been active in the driver market. The Argentinian will be the team's test and reserve driver this year, having been with Williams, who was handed his debut, as we know, by James Vowles as he was called up to replace Logan Sargent, scoring 5 points in 9 races for the Williams team. Now, rumours have been swirling around the paddock about his future, expressing interest, and in the end, it was Alpine who landed his signature, thanks to a certain Flavio Briatore. So Alpine, and the rumour is they paid $8.4 million for Franco Colapinto. So Alpine would not be paying £8.4 million. It would have been in dollars, so it would have been a bit more for him to be on the sidelines. And therein lied the issue. Now there are rumours that a sponsor from Jack Doohan has essentially given them $10 million, but still, that is why Alpine want Colapinto in the car. Even Oliver Oak said we're gonna, give him a fair chance. A fair chance, I think, will be to the summer break, or at least the halfway point in the season, just before the summer break. There we go. I think there. But absolute minimum, a few more races. At least this next triple header on the absolute minimum. And then maybe put Colapinto in Canada if you're that unhappy. But I think, as we saw in Australia, he was as fast, if not faster, than Gasly at points. He out-qualified Gasly in his first trip to Miami in an F1 car. So I don't think it's as bad as people make up. But the narrative seems to be that Colapinto is going to be at Imola, which for me is going to be a shame. As good as Colapinto is. But I can understand why. If they're going to pay 8.4 million for someone, I get why they'd want him in the car, in the car. Absolutely. So if you made it to the end though, please give us a subscribe. That would make me very happy. If you're not subscribed, if you think we've earned your subscription, please subscribe. We do many other videos. We do Formula 1, we do World Rally Championship, we do a bit of gaming, and we do the British Touring Car Championship, which we're off to see it at the British BTCC. Can't wait. Should be good. Other than that, thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon.